You're listening to the Dealer Playbook Podcast, episode 22, featuring Ann Fleming. Here we go.
You're dialed in to the Dealer Playbook Podcast, where it's all about winning auto dealer strategies that deliver proven results. And now your hosts, Robert Weissman and Michael Cirillo.
Hey everybody, what is going on? Michael Cirillo here and Robert Weissman with the Dealer Playbook. Robert, my man, how's it going?
What is happening?
I'm stealing this one back. I'm so excited. You know what? The Dealer Playbook is just blasting it. Robert and I were just looking the other day. We're being listened to in 50 countries around the world. We are on the What's Hot list, and there's a good reason for that, and it's because we are delivering real auto dealer strategies that deliver real results.
And you are nice enough to sit down and give us a piece of your day, put the earbuds in or in your car, wherever. So without you, it wouldn't happen. So thank you. We do this for you. So Michael, tell them who we got on today, man. This is an exciting show.
Yeah, this is a cool one because, you know, you're going to hear us talk about in the episode how the podcast itself, though incredible, was kind of turning into a dude fest. It was, you know, lots of men. I think Subi, she was our first female guest, and she did an incredible job. And today, we're looking forward to sitting down with Ann Fleming. She is the founder and president and CEO of Women Drivers, and you can check out their website. We'll link to it in the show notes. And she has some incredible information that will empower your dealership or you and your sales abilities or whatever aspect of the dealership that you're working in to effectively reach out to female drivers. The statistics that she had to share with us were mind-blowing. The cool thing about statistics, something that I've learned early on, and you know full well, Robert, you know, a lot of us say that we make gut decisions, and I've learned early on that gut decisions, well, for lack of better words, your gut sucks at making decisions. And when you really look at the anatomy of a gut decision, it actually comes after the acquisition of a ton of intel first. It's like, you know, you go into the shoe store, right? And you say, oh man, my gut's telling me I should buy the Nikes versus the Reeboks. But that's actually after you've conducted research. Well, it's the same in the automotive purchase process. Nobody really makes gut decisions, and you know, your dealership should definitely not be making gut decisions. You should be acquiring intel and understanding and analyzing it so that you know how to make profitable marketing decisions. Well, today Ann is going to share a ton of statistics with you, and it's all for good reason. And really, first, it's, you know, she's painting a picture for you to help you understand how powerful female shoppers are and the influence that they have over the automotive purchase process. You know, Robert, you and I, we visit, you know, and attend a lot of conferences, and we talk more about the influence that female shoppers have over the purchase process. But to look at the sheer numbers of how many actually conduct the purchases,
I was
blown away.
Yeah.
So,
and she does go over a lot of good statistics and gives you a lot of hard data here. So don't worry about pulling over to the side of the road with a pen and a pad and to write anything down. We're going to have it all for you linked in the show notes.
So without further ado, let's jump in with Ann Fleming.
Here we go. Okay, and we are here with my friend, also fellow masterminder at the Unfair Advantage Automotive Mastermind, founder of Women Drivers at womens-drivers.com, is Ann Fleming. Ann, thank you for taking time to hang out with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on the program.
No doubt, no doubt. We knew that, well, that like, I try to be as transparent and honest as possible. You know, Michael and me, we were, you know, sitting back watching the you know, thankfully success of this podcast, and we're on there and we're looking and we're like, man, we have nothing but dudes.
Yeah, we were getting a little man heavy.
Yeah, and I've met some phenomenal women in this industry. And the we just wanted to bring that perspective there, and we have gotten great feedback from women, even when it was just a dudes fest. But we've been slowly bringing more in, and then I knew that your topic, and you just happen to be a woman, is phenomenal. What Ann does, guys, is she's again the founder of women-drivers.com, and she basically helps dealers sell to more women. Is that in a nutshell? Is that right, Ann?
That's it, Robert. I mean, that's it. I mean, our entire platform is all about bringing together this powerful group of sellers and buyers. And we've got a couple different tools that's all about engagement. And, it's really a new day because, this buying segment, I mean, women buy, at new and used dealers, approximately 25 million units a year. And I'm a data.
Say that again.
I'm a data girl.
Back up. I'm not to interrupt you. Say that number again, and that's in units.
Well, let me break that down differently. So let's look. We look at it annually. It's 25 million units a year. But let's look at that on a daily basis, because our dealer principals and our executives, our general sales managers that are listening, everything's broken down. We look at our business monthly and daily. So 70,000 units a day is what women are buying. I'm not talking about the influence. We always talk about, oh, well, women influence. No. I'm actually talking about purchasing a vehicle at a dealership. So 70,000 units a day is what women are buying. So there's some serious coin, being transacted at dealerships by this buying segment. And frankly, that's what our business is all about: is really helping dealers help themselves. By becoming more of a trusted advisor. We've got so many different social platforms, digital platforms, and of course we still use traditional platforms, right? That's still there's still a lot of money spent in traditional platforms. So our business is really helping dealers showcase themselves to engage women, to sell a car to them. So, 70,000 units a day, 25 million units a year. But again, that's used and new, gentlemen. Yeah.
And is that United States, North America?
That's United States, and that's according those units are that is according to NADA and CWN research.
Wow. So
that's United States.
And so I'd imagine then, even outside of physical transactions that are happening, conducted by women, the influence of women on the purchase process must be even far greater, expanding than that.
It is. General research shows in the automotive sector, Michael, that that the influence goes up to approximately 80%. So.
Wow.
It's a big influence.
Well, I know it's the influence in my household.
Yeah, and that's the part where I always would think was where it carried the most weight, pre-learning, the statistics and what Ann talks about, is that, hey, listen, in the end, we know the woman has the buying decision. But this is just solely them, research and driving to a dealer and buying their car. I mean, that's big time.
Okay, so when we look at this, you just mentioned, Ann, that what you do is you go into a dealership, or you help dealerships reach out to this market segment. What are some of the things that dealers should be focusing on in order to, I guess, for lack of better words, break out into this segment and start speaking to them in a way that resonates? Well,
that's great. Okay, so again, what maybe I'll just back up a little bit and talk about. So we're one of the key platforms that distinguishes what we do. Of course, we're in the review and reputation platform. And we focus, again, entirely on, the most powerful and influential buyer in the marketplace, obviously women. But as I said, we're very slanted towards data and the research side of women's experiences. And I should say that we're not a traditional, I'm going to say a 5-star, right, at all. Let me explain. So after a woman does her, 5 questions survey, she is then, on Women Drivers, she's then invited to answer a 20 to a 25 question deep dive survey about her shopping or her purchase or her survey experience at that dealership. And here's the thing. 92%, I'm going to say that again, 92% of women who reviewed the dealership fill out this optional survey question. So that's where we get all of this data, because 9 out of 10 women that reviewed the dealership then go on to fill out a 20 to 25 question survey. So again, I just want to give you a background. So when I'm sitting, when we're talking about all these stats, that they come from these deep dive surveys from the reviews from women themselves. So I just kind of wanted to create that context, because your listeners might be,
very good.
Where's she getting all that data?
And all her stats, for the record, everybody, because we don't want to go in here and just spit stats in the short times that we do have. We're going to have links to a bunch of her content that can dig you deeper into the percentages and really show you why you need to take this serious.
So, Robert, you asked, Michael, you asked a question about, so what can dealers do? So, first of all, one thing that we know is women shop at 1.9 dealerships, let's just call it 2 dealerships, right, before she buys a vehicle. And if a woman goes to a dealership and she leaves that dealership without buying a car, there is just a 1/3 chance she's going to return. So I'm going to say that a little bit differently. 66% of women leave and do not return to that dealership if she didn't buy a car. So that's a pretty big ouch, right? Mm-hmm. It really shows that dealership really needs to get it right with women at that first engagement, at that first opportunity, at that first discussion. Now, another thing that we track, it's taking that further, what can dealerships do? We also know the emotions that women, we ask them. It's one of the questions on the 20-25 questions. We know the questions, we know the emotions that women bring with them. The number one emotion, of course, that women have when they go into a dealership to buy a vehicle is they're excited. That's great that they're excited, but then it shifts pretty quickly. 3 out of 10 women are apprehensive when they buy a car, and 20% of them are downright overwhelmed. So here's the question for dealerships, for a dealership owner or principal or general sales manager, is what are you doing to really mitigate that apprehension or that that confusion or that overwhelm for women, to really create a pain-free business? Actually, I'll say it differently, to create a business that really attracts this buying segment. Okay, sure. That's that.
And before you move on there, or unless you're going to cover it, you can tell me what is currently leading to those emotions. What factors are in play? Is it just the atmosphere? Is it? Do you know what I'm getting at? Is it?
The perception.
Is it all of the above that leads to that apprehensive and
or is
overwhelming
it just
feeling?
Being a woman.
It's there's a couple things. It's a great question.
It is a question.
It's called the past.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha. Yeah, they tend to say women have a high percent. I don't know if you have this stat, but they do. They tend to have a high percent of like holding on to the past and bringing up the past. Do they not?
Perhaps a discussion for another day.
That's a whole.
I'm seeing so many similarities here, so I'm going to see if I can implement some of this maybe into my personal life too, and really
that's a great question.
Find a nice woman.
It's really that's a whole nother. You know what? I'm not. I don't even. I'm speechless on that because it's the past and it's perception.
Got it.
It's all of that.
Fair
and
enough.
Women, last time they bought a car.
Yeah. It probably has a lot to do with the way that the car shopping experience is painted too. I mean, if they're doing all this research, they're hearing the horror stories that the net is filled with. So that probably
and you know what? And I wanted to bring that up because and certainly not to shed that in a negative light at all, because for me, it's the past. It's the negative perception. There's dealerships that I won't go to today because I was dealt with improperly, and so I do go into some dealerships, even now serving dealerships when it's me making the purchase, and I do sometimes feel apprehensive, and it's actually for the same reason. It's because of a past experience. It's because of perception. All of those sorts of things. So I would say it's even similar on the other side of the fence.
Now, the flip side to that is, the top reasons why women buy from a dealership absolutely is her engagement with the sales advisor. And it's all about respect and having a trustworthy engagement. If those two things don't happen, again, that's why 66% leave and she's going down the street and she's buying from a competitor. But I'm telling you, if a respectful and a trustworthy engagement or experience happens, she's buying her car there. She is absolutely going to buy her car at that dealership. And so, a warm, genuine greeting, just simple things, just simple things, answering every question with respect. And I'm going to say something, and this may sound so elementary, but honestly, I see it time and time again. Answering questions with a full sentence. I think sometimes we're always like, okay, leather or cloth? No, it's actually, you know what I mean? You guys know what I mean, right? Leather cloth, air conditioning.
Very good.
Just asking her questions in full sentences, answering them in full sentences.
Eye contact. They like that.
Sure. I mean, we all.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm
No.
so bad at this. I mean, I've already held myself back from many comments already.
You are the reason Ann is in business, Robert.
No,
I'm kidding.
Robert's great, but I mean, listen. It's and then it's just asking her questions and offering her a cup of coffee. I mean, look. I think it goes without saying, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, culturally, women felt underserved. Socially, women felt underserved in the car industry. And today, now they're buying another car. Maybe they're divorced. Maybe they're on their second or their third marriage. And now they're going in and they're having great experiences in car dealerships. We really have to acknowledge. I don't know if you gentlemen have seen some of the WSI reports. So that's, by the way, that's a women's satisfaction index, both to the car brands. I'm telling you what, brands and dealerships are getting fabulous scores on women drivers. And that is women acknowledging their car dealerships and their car brands. So obviously, our platform is showcasing dealers and brands, and I don't want to say how far they've come because there really wasn't a benchmark 10 or 15 years ago. Certainly our company wasn't in business, but it's really showing a new day in 2014, and frankly, isn't that great? But again, we track why women buy from a dealership, and it all starts with one singular person. And so it's not the executive, it's not the general sales manager, it's the sales advisor. And so having that individual really having those skill sets and a high EQ is imperative.
Does the sex of the advisor come into play at all?
I don't think it does. I think women, frankly, we just anybody, doesn't matter what they look like, what their skin color is, what gender they are. I think generally we like to see people who look like us on the sales floor. Certainly today, and in the automotive sector at the dealership level, we're now up to 18% of all employees are female, but a lot of them are in BDC, advertising,
admin.
Right.
No doubt.
Robert,
no doubt.
Right. They're not necessarily on the sales floor.
I'd like to see it in the sales context.
Right. Right.
that percent.
I don't think it matters. It's just all about engagement, and women showcase through our platform that they're having remarkable engagement. So that really doesn't matter. I just think we'd like, I think whether you're, buying clothes at the mall, or, the cable person is coming to put in, your new Best Buy TV. I think generally we just like to see people who look like us to some degree. And I think that is augmenting to some degree, certainly in our industry.
How now, because we've kind of approached this from the female shopper perspective, what about any apprehension or overwhelming feelings coming from inside the dealership, perhaps not knowing how to reach out to the segment effectively? Is that the case? Because we know that the auto industry, or the inside the dealership, is still predominantly a male organization, and we are seeing a breakout of some very, very powerful women in the industry. But are dealers apprehensive? Do they know the right approach, or is it, again, that the whole reason that your business exists?
Dealers, one-on-one in a back room or in a closed room, Michael, that's where they'll tell you. It certainly isn't the internet sales manager or the BDC, that individual, that will ever say that. That person typically will say, oh, we treat everybody the same. And when we coach that individual, we're like, please don't say that. Don't say we treat everyone the same. Please don't ever say that again. Oh my gosh, don't do that. Because does your physician say we treat all of our patients the same?
Right.
Do you want your teacher to say we treat all of our students the same? Please don't ever say that.
It's a given.
But
or it should be.
Everyone wants to be treated special and like they are your only customer. In any event, certainly we for instance, we work with 600 dealers across the nation. We're not working with 17,000 dealers. We're a relatively young company, first of all. Second of all, but no, not all dealers are interested in working with women drivers because, they either may not know about us, or B, they may think that they have women, the women's business or the women's audience, kind of
handled,
figured out. Yeah. I will share with you a couple of things. Again, in the deep dive survey that we ask, women report that their dealership's website is the very first place they go when they begin researching for a car. That is extraordinary news for dealerships. That means, that's huge. They go to the dealership's website before they go to OEM's website. That is extraordinary. Now, that's the good news. Now, there's a little bit of not so great news in there, and what I'll call the other news, rather than saying the B word. The other news is that 1/3 of women say that the dealership's website is actually not helpful at all. That there could be a lot more research information on there. It's basically broken into here's our inventory and our pricing. Come on in for credit, and we'll help you out for service. But there's not other information, ancillary information, to really help them in the research funnel. And further to the not so good news is just 32% of women visit the dealership's Facebook page. So from a social perspective, you folks are certainly in this business. Dealers could be doing a lot more posting, relevant and posting that could really engage women. Right now, and when I say right now, it certainly seems that a lot of posts are all about cars. I'm using a very general statement, so forgive me, but only 1 in 3 women are actually liking their dealer's Facebook page. So there's a lot more engagement. And again, like you said, certainly that's where, we offer solutions that are all around engagement and building trust, and then marketing that back to their community, their city, and distinguishing their dealerships. Certainly women can buy a car. They've got a number of choices in any given city across the United States or in North America, and they can buy that car virtually for within a couple $100s of each other. So why are they going to go to one dealership vis-a-vis another? So finding a way to really market and distinguish your dealership, to have it be really a women-friendly or a family-friendly dealership, and really stand out vis-a-vis the competition, is exactly what many forward-thinking or elite dealerships, it's exactly what they want to do.
Yep. So we definitely want to post, content to Facebook that is more resonating with female buyer shopper in general more, because you have 32%, a good amount of them are checking it out. And
well, and I mean, on top of that, on top of that, I love what you said, Ann. It's something I call BRTing, build relationships of trust. And like you said, I mean, when we audit Facebook walls or when we look at website content, it's all very self-serving. It's not very informative. But aside from that, we find that there's just not that layer of affinity that, it's always just, hey, check out this 2010 blah, blah, blah for $39.95, won't last long. And we sit here and think it's absolutely going to last long, because that's the worst messaging we've ever seen. So what you're saying, though, is, I mean, and I'm just seeing here on your website about how research shows that 91% of women say her family and friends influence or help influence the purchase decision. And what better place to kind of engage with family and friends and with a network than on Facebook? So if the dealer can, effectively market themselves in a way that resonates with the various market segments out there, especially the female buyer, then they're going to be that much more likely to have an influential purchase decision. Is that kind of what the conclusion that we're drawing with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I concur 100%. I mean, when it comes to Facebook, when it comes to, Instagram or various social channels, women lease a car once every 3 years. She buys a car once every 5 or 6 years, but she gets in her car 4 or 5 times a day. So coming up with, and that's obviously what you folks offer your dealer clients, coming up with, a social strategy that is, relevant, timely content that's all about her. And then the dealer, it's not about the car, it's not about selling cars. It's really about, a strategy that helps her. And she then looks at the dealership as really being a trusted advisor that's not just there about selling cars, because that only happens once every 3 years. It's really about, I love that BRT. That's fabulous, Michael. If I can just throw, again, you got to forgive me, I'm all about statistics, but one suggestion, if I may, for your listening audience. Robert and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. A lot of, your listeners, they are so great at tracking their numbers of units that they sell every single month. If I could make a suggestion to them for 2, 3, maybe even 6 months to actually track of the units sold, how many units are sold to women? So of the total units sold, just simply break that down by gender. Now, here's why I say that. We provide tools. There's no charge to them whatsoever through a newsletter. We call it Women's Wednesday, and there's a number of tools. They're totally free to your listening audience. And they're really simple. They're actually simple to institute. But over the course of a couple months, if your dealerships sold, if they, after instituting some of these policies, some of these best practices, if they sold an additional 5 units each month, and then over the course of 12 months, that would resonate to, I don't know, an average car costs what? I don't know, $32,000. What's that? That's $2 million. But over time, if they sold an additional 15 units a month, which is what many of our certified women-friendly dealerships do, that's an additional $6 million a year. So it's just getting into the practice of not only tracking, of course, what they already do, how many units they're selling each month, but how many units they're selling to women, and making it a bit of a game. Of course, gamesmanship and competitiveness resonates at every single dealership across America. And just selling a few more units a month to women, and by instituting some of our best practices and some of the best practices that already exist at many of the dealerships, it's amazing how that can impact a dealership's bottom line.
Wow. No, I mean, that's why I told you when we first were talking about coming on how I knew that Michael would be interested in this one, because it's so segmenting on just it's just a huge buyer segment that is looked over.
Yeah, and I mean, you've touched on a couple of things that, flow so well with what I believe. And I mean, you touched on it. You said, okay, the first place that the female shopper is checking out online is the dealer's website. And you've also said something that I talk a lot about, which is that the dealer website just doesn't have enough information. And so isn't it sad to think that, the average dealership who's likely getting between 3,000 and 6,000 visits a month online doesn't have the information necessary to actually impact purchase decisions, and therefore all of these shoppers are going elsewhere. I was reading a Google report that said, something like 24 different touch points are used in shaping the consumer's purchase decision. Now, I have come unprepared. I don't know what the stat of, how many of those are females, but I think it's safe to say that 80% of them are influencing that, and 54%, or is that the number? 54% are actually doing the purchases. So it's sad to me to see that what could be the most powerful resource for shaping a purchase decision is actually so underutilized by the dealership because they're not providing content on their website. The BRT content, they're not providing information about the vehicles in a way that it resonates with the female shopper, and are therefore missing this massive opportunity to help shape purchase decisions.
Just a few things as we look forward into the next 5 years. There's a report out last year that women, one third of women out earn their husbands in households in the United States. So 1/3 of women out earn their husbands. And there was actually a report out last week that 30% of millennial women will not marry until at least the age of 40. So again, as we're looking at different cultural, social, and financial segments that are happening with women over the past 10 years, and as we look forward over the next 5 or 10 years, there's a lot of women that are staying single longer, and they're also now out earning their husbands. So there's just so much opportunity and money on the table for dealerships that want to step out of, the traditional, come on in this weekend and get your best price. We have the best pricing. That model has worked, and it's worked great for 40 or 50 years. But reviews are now a completely different model because women rely on reviews 50% more than men. Why? Because she wants to get it right, i.e. she wants to avoid getting it wrong. So women rely on, car dealer reviews.
Getting your lawn mowed?
I am getting my lawn mowed. Oh my gosh.
What's the stats on women picking their landscaper?
Well, that's 1 point. No, I'm just kidding.
Love it.
So there are some forward-thinking dealers that are now incorporating their SI into their advertising campaign, their commercials, their online campaigns. But again, just in so many different dealerships, they're still using, we have the best, the best. What does that mean, for heaven's sakes? Our research shows that women buy a car because of price. That is the number 6 reason. It doesn't mean it's not important. It does not mean it's not important. But boy, she's got to have a car advisor, a sales advisor who's got to have a high EQ. He or she has to pass being trustworthy, being respectful, being likable, being understanding. Boy, there's a litany of EQ tests in a 2 or 3 minute time span. Those skills have to be, or skills. I guess they're more of what are they called?
Character traits.
Character traits. Yeah,
character traits have to be emitted. And then she'll get into the conversation of price. So there's really different ways for dealers to advertise and distinguish and really segregate themselves from other brands in their respective city and towns.
And, something here as well. I mean, going along with the market segmentation, as I was learning more about you, Ann, I had noticed some past experience in the marketing industry for was it Abercrombie or American Eagle?
American Eagle, yeah.
And an experience, something that I tend to draw on is when you walk into these retail outlets, specifically by the imagery, the posters hanging in the store, the way they're laid out, that store is for a specific market segment. I use, companies like American Eagle or Abercrombie because when you walk in, you don't see any old men wearing their, shirts untucked and unbuttoned and all this kind of stuff. It's very young Hamptons kind of, looking young surfer guys and the good looking, blonde, blue eyed bikini wearing kind of, and so you walk into those stores and you know exactly who they're for. When you go to their website, you know exactly what audience they're for. When you go to a dealer's website, I think we're still focusing on people who purchase vehicles, and we don't necessarily break that out and say, okay, well, who are they? Who are the people that purchase vehicles?
No, good point.
And and the other thing you said there about the price, I mean, I'm so passionate about this because I feel like dealers out there are waging this fierce battle over what is probably only like 2 to 5% of in-market consumers. And like you said, there's a whole litany of EQ tests that happen based on the character trait of who they're dealing with and the dealership that they're working with before they even arrive at price being a relevant factor. I even think about like what is what is the phase of life that the individual is in? I look at young families. I look at the, maybe it's female shoppers who just graduated, college or who are going to college or who are young mothers or retired mothers or whatever it might be. And those sorts of, the phases of life also can impact purchase decision. I think of young mothers who are interested in safety and economy and seating configurations and all those sorts of things, which first lead them to specific types of vehicles. And so I feel like with all of those research touch points that happen online, these market segments are qualifying themselves to varying degrees before they even show up to the dealership. And then when they do show up there, it's almost like a job interview for the dealership. It's like, hey, why am I going to give you my money? Or in other words, why am I going to hire your dealership to provide me with these products and services? Is that accurate? Is there something I'm missing out on there, or anything that you can elaborate on?
No. I think you're 100%, Michael. I think you're spot on. I would take that even further. Again, I'm always about in dealership. And what else can dealerships do? I think I frequently liken. Again, I'm always thinking about the future and what dealerships can do to really make a difference, with women. And I think about grocery stores, it's some time ago, I don't know when that was, but, even when I was a kid, they just simply sold food. And they sold food. That was it, and then at some point in time, they became larger and they became more like convenience, and they included banking or, cafes, or they, childcare was included, or dry cleaning, or pharmacies were added. And I do think at some point in time, and this is really for larger dealerships, this is certainly not for, maybe a single store, but I do think that for larger dealership groups, it's really an opportunity again, to become not just dealerships, but destination points, to add, become more, it's not just women friendly, it's really family friendly. So adding value services like, like a yoga studio or a boutique fitness, just a small studio with a changing area. Not everybody wants to sit there and watch TV. So having, PlayStations, there's a lot of mom gamers, not just for the kids, but certainly for mom gamers, while their car is being serviced. There's just so many opportunities for dealerships to add value so that their dealership is really more of a destination shop. The other thing, here's a takeaway for your listeners. Here is a definite takeaway. The number one requested concierge service from women on women drivers is that women want an overnight vehicle. They do not want to have to sit there in the service drive and or have a shuttle bus take them back and forth. They've got kids at home.
That's an easy one.
They're single moms. They frequently out-earn their partner. I don't care. And again, this is all, kind of in the past. This has been a service that has been made available by luxury brands. You know what, Chevrolet, Kia dealerships, don't just let the luxury brands make that available. Have Hyundai just make that available to your customers. And it's a service and it's appreciated. And you know what? She really will appreciate that and she will remember it, because it's certainly, we all know it's not about just the sale. It's about retaining and the relationship. Those are two things that go hand in hand. And if you make it easier on her, because women, it's all about time. It's all about time and money. But if you can make it easier on her, that's going to go a long way in that relationship.
Yep. And right there is one, adding the fleet, adding it overnight to your value proposition. It automatically increases your chances of selling to more women, because it's the thing that hits home with them. Michael.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being on the show with us today. So much information. I love that you are an encyclopedia of statistics, because I'm telling you what, but I'll tell you why, because those statistics represent how dealers can absolutely take action to improving the experience delivered through the dealership to become more profitable and to become more successful. Some of those numbers that you shared with us, like, simple things that can be done to increase sales or the attribution of sales to like $6 million more per year. Those types of things are so powerful. So once again, thank you so much. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
We're pretty active on Twitter. We certainly have a presence on Facebook. Our handle is Women Drivers. Women Drivers.
Right. So follow that on Facebook, everyone. And
on
again, Twitter. I'm sorry. And again, all the Ann's links and everything that she's talking about, we'll have them in the show notes. She's a good friend of mine. She has a lot of great value to bring to the your organization and to the industry with the just the insight, these stats, man. When you know stats like this, it makes you a valuable person. I'm telling you, because nobody wants to compile all that stuff. Again, Ann, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you said 12:15, so you're probably running out the door. So we will talk to you soon, okay?
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
And there you have it, folks. That was our friend Ann Fleming, women-drivers.com. Michael, this was your first real engagement with Ann. What did you think? I told you that she was right up your alley, man.
Yeah, she totally is, and so professional, and I love the way she speaks. She's very engaging. And again, I mean, those statistics, I don't know anybody just off the top of their head. And the cool thing, you and I were talking about this, is that those statistics, much of them I mean, some of them
They're
come
her.
from NADA, but most of them are coming
her
from
data.
the data that she's acquiring, and you know, from a powerful customer base, the acquisition of all of this intel to share and further enhance the industry. I think, you know, she's just so professional, and I love, you know, I love anytime we get a human glimpse into our guests, and hearing that weed whacker going in the background was just, it made my day.
Awesome. Well, you would have heard my kids yelling upstairs after I got them like locked in flowers in the attic, locked upstairs while I do this recording.
Love it.
Last week of summer. But yeah, Ann delivers, you know, pure data. Some of it is just obvious on the actions that you take to, you know, benefit from it. And right there was one. I mean, a woman is, you know, one of their main concierge requests is an overnight vehicle when their vehicle's in service. So there you go. I mean, that's an easy thing that really takes nothing to put in action.
There's that, and the validation that your website is the first place that not just all shoppers, but especially female shoppers are going. And the fact that, you know, like she said, a third of them that are filling out these surveys are saying that there just isn't substantial amounts of information to help them shape their purchase decisions. So right there, that's a simple thing that you can start doing to really kick things up a notch and start dominating online and have it translate to the offline interaction. Do us a favor. Go ahead.
I think one time, and sorry about that. I think one time though, we should, because nobody does that like you, man. Nobody knows how to, it's so dialed in on how to talk to these individual segments using your website. We should probably, you know, drop a session for them covering that and with ideas and actionable ideas on the what you need on your website to attract to these segments, basically, to resonate with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, actually, before we kind of roll this out, what I wanted to say is something that fits along with that is, did I tell you about the book?
No,
so check it out, man. So, you know, I've got this book coming out. Title is Don't Wait, Dominate, and it's all about how to release the floodgates of online opportunity, and it fits so well with what we talked about today in market segmentation, and I do get into a ton of detail, but what I'm doing is I'm offering free VIP access to bonus material that's going to go to those who sign up now. And so what I wanted to do is just quickly tell you about that. Check out michaelacirillo.com/book, where you can register for those free exclusive VIP bonus materials. And it fits so well with what Ann has talked about and how to reach out to those market segments. Check out Ann's website, women-drivers.com. And then, of course, connect with her on Twitter at WomenDrivers. And
show notes, all the data and resources discussed in this session will be at where?
dealerplaybook.com. Listen, guys, we are so grateful for your support. Like I said, we're being listened to in 50 countries, and that is because of you guys. We love that you're coming back every week. We appreciate you, and we look forward to talking to you next time.
See you then.